Rue, are you keeping all the kobolds busy? Like they're not in the mine.
Not in the mine? Oh, I know what they're doing. They are currently going out and getting some more tea. Oh, there's a soul passing by. Would you two want to talk to this one?
Sure.
Then let me just pull them in here, and hello!
Hello? Who are you?
We are the Delegation of Dreamers, and you are in the realm of forgotten memories and dreams.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, your soul was just floating about, so I brought you in to have a little conversation.
I was spending time with my son, and you dragged me away for a conversation. I don't even know you.
Yes.
We can send you back. Would you mind answering a few questions first?
Don't take this the wrong way, but do I have a choice?
You do. It's just we ask these questions so that people don't get forgotten.
Right. Sure.
Thank you.
Great. Let's just get Ashura. Ashura, we have a guest.
I didn't think we're scheduled, but what do I feel like this is Ruth doing?
Well, who else do you think would pull in a random soul? Anyway, let us ask this gentle soul some questions and make sure they're not forgotten, because they seem like an interesting one.
I do.
Yes. You are favored by some people that, I've only heard about. Interesting is the nice way to put it.
What?
Before we start asking a bunch of metaphysical questions and stuff, my name is Ephraim. Who might you be?
My given name was Albino, but I go by John. Is that an acceptable enough answer?
That is quite acceptable, and quite a nice name. Both of them.
Thank you. I picked it out myself. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I am just very, very confused.
Completely understandable. But you said you chose your name. Is that a normal thing where you come from, or?
Sort of. Normally a partner would pick a name for me, but Albino's not exactly a common name in normal society. I had a few struggles adapting, so I took on a normal name. The most normal one I could think of.
And where are you from?
I'm from the Kindred Village.
I don't know that.
That's pretty common. The Sacred Forest of Natum.
Is the kindred your species?
That is what my people are called, yes.
Oh, okay. And is it a nice place, this forest?
The forest has its dangers. The village is quite possibly one of the most peaceful places I've ever seen.
How many are in your village? Is it big, small?
It's, by most people's standards, pretty small, but I can't keep up with how many people come and go so often. We accepted so many outsiders, for lack of a better term. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. So many of our people go out and travel and do the work of the gods.
How about you? Did you travel?
Quite a bit. I suppose that is why my soul seems interesting.
Yeah, and we kind of have a feeling that you probably have some good stories.
That depends on your definition of good. I certainly have some interesting ones, but...
So, have you been on any adventures?
A few. I met some people in my life who were prone to interesting adventures. And I'm glad I got to spend the time with them that I did. I'm sorry. I got a little sentimental there for a moment. Excuse me.
Completely fine. No need to apologize.
I just wanted to elaborate a bit on what I was talking about earlier, how you were favored by some interesting people. You seem to be favored by a couple of gods, a goddess of death and a god of life. Could you tell us a little bit about them and how you're connected?
Well, I suppose it is fair that you... I cannot, for the life of me, wrap my head around how you know of them, and yet you don't know who they are, but I am just going to chalk it up to one of the millions of things I am confused about this place, and pretend it makes sense. Lady Murray and Lord Vuitton are, as you stated, the goddess of death and the god of life. I have learned about them since I was very young, and my people are the last known people who worship them. I have spent my entire life in Lady Murray's service. Well, in service of both of them, but particularly devoted to Lady Murray. I'm not really sure what you want to know about them specifically.
How do you worship them?
What do you mean?
Do you have certain days in the year where you celebrate or give offerings to them, or?
We have our celebrations throughout the year, but they are mainly harvest festivals, things like that. I do commune with them every night. I work in their service. I fight in their name. Well, you probably wouldn't know anything about that duty, would you?
Well, no, but who do you fight against then?
To put it in simple but probably dramatic terms, forces of evil. Beings that have defied the laws of life and death. My gods will mark, well, specifically Lady Murray will mark such beings, and it is my duty as a kindred to smite them down.
So, kind of like a hitman.
To put it crudely, I suppose, yes.
Maybe more like a champion of the gods.
Yes.
That would probably be a bit of nicer terms, yes.
I don't know if I'd really put myself up on a pedestal like that, but sure.
And to clarify a little bit as to how I know, I can see people's ties to otherworldly creatures. I do not always know what those otherworldly creatures are. It is just a power that I was given by a god that I follow, it from the world I'm originally from.
That is a very interesting power.
And yes, we find Rue confusing as well.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one.
It's been an ongoing thing. So you didn't spend your entire life inside of the sacred forest, correct?
I did not, no. I was raised there, and at the age of 18, my training was considered complete, and I was able to venture out into the world.
And where did you go?
To be honest, I wandered for a while, mostly around Nadum. I eventually ended up in the neighboring land of Destina, and I met someone interesting there. Spent a little bit of time not traveling as much. But that's not important. I spent a little bit of time there, and then I moved on and continued my service to Lady Murray from there.
Do you happen to be bad at balancing?
I'm sorry?
Like you said you didn't want to put yourself on a pedestal. Is that because you have bad balance?
No, What an interesting question.
It's a figure of speech, Eophraim. Eophraim here is not very good with figures of speeches and turns of phrase.
I see.
He takes everything very literally.
My sister struggles with metaphors sometimes too. Or maybe she's just a pain on purpose. I genuinely couldn't tell you anymore.
Really certain Ephraim doesn't struggle with metaphors, he just lets them deck him.
What? I suppose.
I'm not sure if explaining difficulty with metaphors with another metaphor is really the best of ideas.
Yeah, sure.
So, where did you adventure to? Or what led you to the life of an adventurer?
Well, it's what I trained for my entire life. I wanted to serve Lady Murray. I don't know really how to say this without it sounding terrible to those unfamiliar with our practices, but I wanted to hunt down those who would dare break the laws of life and death. Such people pose a significant threat to our world, and furthermore, they disrespect Lady Murray. Such beings need to be dealt with.
And did you go out and find these people on your own, or?
It is difficult to explain. When my goddess marks someone, it sort of guides me to them. It isn't necessarily a pinpoint location. It isn't the same as a spell that can guide you to a spot on a map or something of the sort, but it's a feeling. I can commune with the gods and get a general sense of where I should be going.
You just know who you want to kill or who your gods want to kill.
I have a general idea of where these marks are, and when I see them, I know.
So how do you explain that you had to kill someone for your gods to people who aren't initiated in your faith?
Generally, the sort of people who need to be struck down are people who are causing problems anyway. Necromancers, people who have defied death with their own magic, creatures who are already undead, or people who are just evil.
And do you go about hunting these people down on your own?
Some do. I had friends. Well, near the end I did anyway.
How do you meet them?
I wanted to visit with my sister, meet these friends of hers, and I guess I grew attached to them myself.
So they were friends of your sister?
Most of them. Some of them I met on my own adventures, but that is how I joined the regulars. That is a guild in Lenasia.
How long were you with the guild?
Gosh, I couldn't tell you. Time barely feels real anymore, all the way up until the end.
And what was your first mission with them?
Including helping them protect their guild hall from an attack? I'm not too sure of the context of the situation. I never really pressed Valeria, our guild leader, about the matter. I just know I arrived to visit with my sister, and she was protecting a mark of life. Ironically enough, the guild leader herself. Marks. I've only explained marks of death to you, haven't I? Marks of life are, for lack of better terms, people with a great destiny, whose lives are in danger of being cut short before they can fulfill that destiny.
So you become a guardian angel for those with marks of life.
Again, a very dramatic, self-aggrandizing term, but for simplicity's sake, we'll say yes. My sister was protecting one such mark, and with her reckless behavior, I guess she put herself in danger, or was planning to put herself in danger, because when I got there, she was also marked. And so, of course, not just because she was my sister, but by order of the gods, I had to protect her. We were attacked by... God, they went down very easily. I'm not sure how they posed such a threat. Supposedly, they were the elite guard of someone Valeria has been fighting for a very long time. She didn't seem to take him very seriously. I'm not sure how he was such an ongoing threat.
So what happened if you found out that instead of a mark of life, your sister had a mark of death?
Why would she be marked for death? She would never do something that would cause something like that.
I'm just considering, like, would you follow your god's orders?
I don't see why this is something I would even need to consider. That the mere notion is ridiculous. Willow is one of the most dedicated people I know to the gods, and I would never be put in such a situation. The fact that you would even suggest it is...
I don't know. Sometimes gods can work in mysterious ways.
No. You're making it very clear that you know nothing of my gods.
And what about the first mission that you were sent to?
Right. I believe it was evacuating the citizens of Destina's capital. I'm sorry, maybe some context would do us well here. Destina was in the midst of a war with Zensi, the land to the north of them. Zensi does not believe in magic. They believe in the power of man, the power of invention. Zensi had deployed these anti-magic fields to prevent the citizens of Matobi, the Destina's capital, from properly defending themselves. And we got into the city. We got very lucky. We were able to capture a moment where Zensi actually lowered their fields so that they could forward their offensive. And so in the midst of an attack, our guild has a wizard who is very adept at teleportation magic, and he was able to craft portals that the citizens could escape through. He almost gave his life for that mission, but we were able to keep him alive and get all of the citizens out safely.
It's good to hear that the first mission went off without a hitch.
I wouldn't say without a hitch. Several of Destina's guards went down holding the line so that the citizens could get out, but beyond that, well, the king was assassinated shortly after the evacuation. I would label that a bit of a hitch.
That sounds like a hitch.
That's definitely a hitch.
Did you find out who killed him?
We did. A woman posing as his advisor killed him and framed a Zensen doctor who joined us because he didn't agree with the way they were conducting this war. But we were able to clear his name, captured her. She escaped and later came back and joined our guild. I'm still very confused about that whole series of events, but the point is we cleared his name and we did figure out who actually did it. Everything that happened after that is beyond my pay grade.
What happened in the end? Were you able to evacuate people, yes, but what about the siege itself?
The city fell. Destina had to set up a new capital elsewhere.
Did you help with that as well?
Oh no, that was beyond what we were sent to do. But they had the resources to handle themselves. We just had to get them free from Zensi's grasp.
So, when we brought you in, you said you were spending time with your child.
That's right.
How was your relationship with your child before you started adventuring? And how has it become better since, well, I guess you could say you stopped adventuring?
That is certainly a story that I'm not particularly proud of. I did not even know Ashton existed until he was 4 years old. Ironically enough, I met up with his mother during that evacuation. At the time, it was a happy reunion. I did and still do feel terrible for missing so much of Ashton's life, but, well, at the time I was happy to see his mother again. I spent some time adventuring while they were safe at the guild hall, but I took a break from that to spend some time with them, mostly with Ashton, my son. And about the time that he was lost, Lydia and I, his mother and I, drifted apart.
Were you on a raft?
Sorry, that was another metaphor.
So,
Their bond did not last, Aram.
That's a good way of putting it, yes.
And so how did you feel when you found out you had a child?
A mixture of several emotions. I felt terrible that I wasn't there for his life, but happy, too. I always wanted to start a family, but didn't think that I would really get the opportunity.
And what about your kid now? Where is he?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, he was lost. I don't really want to talk about what happened to cause that, but he passed before I did.
would you be willing to tell us how you passed?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, your final mission.
I went somewhere no mortal belongs, and could not stand up to the horrors there, I guess. But I was the only one who fell. My friends all escaped with their lives, and for that I am very grateful. I should still be there now, actually.
We'll be sure to send you back soon. My apologies for us dragging you in here.
The place where I should be is not somewhere that I wish to return.
Oh. How did you leave the place you should be?
My sister sacrificed everything to rescue me. And I don't know if I will never forgive her for that, or if I am eternally in her debt for it.
What do you mean? Could you elaborate?
When I fell and became trapped there, my goddess actually took it upon herself to tell my sister what happened, solely so that she could give her specific instructions not to go after me. But she is so stubborn that she did it anyway. And because she defied an order from the goddess, she lost all of her blessings, including her best friend. And I hate that she gave up so much for my sake. But I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
It doesn't seem like a pleasant place to go. What sent you there originally?
I was enlisted for a mission to retrieve something that no one should have access to. I went to Limbo, a place between life and death. And to reach that place as a mortal, you have to essentially die. I guess near-death experience is a better term for it. We were assisted by someone that I wish we didn't need the assistance of. Someone who was and will be, after everything is over, or perhaps already is, to my friends again, an enemy, but who shared a common goal with us. They are a master of poisons, and were able to craft a poison that could kill, but not permanently. And they were able to get us to this place.
Poison that doesn't kill permanently, isn't that more of a sedative?
Particularly strong sedative, I suppose.
And in this place between life and death, how did you pass?
The item we were sent to retrieve was protected by I don't know what it was. It took the form of a dragon. It attacked us. I'm not sure if it just wanted to kill us or if it was defending the item we were after, but I had to protect everyone. I couldn't let it hurt them, and I guess I got a little overzealous in what I thought I could handle.
And so your sister heard about this and came to save you against their goddess's wishes?
Yes. Generally speaking, it is forbidden for us kindred to go to this place because of what can happen. A soul lost there is beyond the reach of Lady Murray, cannot proceed to the afterlife. I don't know how long I was there, but it felt like an eternity of just torture. I was there on a mission for the good of the world, but to go after a soul, it's forbidden for a reason. The gods do not want to lose any more people to a place like that, and so Lady Murray, Willow was one of their most dedicated followers, and she took the time to specifically warn her not to go. But she didn't listen.
Did she manage to get you from limbo to the afterlife?
Yes, she was able to retrieve my soul. She had to fight off the corruption I already suffered. Maybe that's the real reason that my soul looked interesting. But she fought it off and was able to bring me to Lady Murray, who was able to give me an afterlife.
So how is the afterlife?
Very, very peaceful. It's difficult to explain, but I'm glad that I'm here.
And your sister was able to fend off the beast that killed you?
She slayed it by herself, which admittedly was a bit of a hit to my pride, but I'm so proud of her.
Guess she was destined for greater things then.
Suppose you're right. I'm not sure if I would say that's why she ended up marked for life, but it is a pleasant thing to think about.
I was also wondering, you have the magics of some magic items lingering on you. Could you tell me about how you came across some of these magic items, such as the gauntlets of ogre power? And I assume that mask is your holy symbol, well, based on its particular brand, I guess you could say.
My mask was fashioned in my village. It was given to me when I reached the age that I was able to go out and adventure. There's really not much to it. It is part of our traditions. But the gauntlets, they were a gift from, I'm not really sure what to call him, actually. I once called him a friend, but before I passed, we were not on the best of terms.
A former friend.
I'm not even sure that I would call him a former friend. I never wanted our friendship to end, but I don't know how he feels about me now. And to be completely honest, I was never able to resolve our problems, and I'm not 100% certain how I feel about him. But he gave these to me. He recognized that being a fighter was not exactly the most physically inclined. They helped me, and they helped me protect my friends. I should have been more grateful than I was. I'm sorry, I don't think you meant for me to, get emotional.
It's perfectly fine. Emotions are natural, after all. We all feel them. Well, sometimes I wonder about Ephraim, but
I feel emotions. I feel hunger. I feel sleepy. I feel annoyed.
That one is an emotion. I'm not sure some of the others you listed are emotions.
He also feels annoying at times.
oh, yes, that one is also true.
Out of curiosity, what would you say would be one of your favorite moments out of your life?
My favorite moments?
Yes. As we've talked about your beginning, we've talked about your end. What about in the middle? One of your favorite times?
Well, there was a day that my friends and I just got together to have drinks in the dining area of our guild hall. We talked about ourselves, we got to know one another better, and had several good laughs. There was, I couldn't really pinpoint a specific moment. I suppose all of the time that I spent with Puck and Laura, I wouldn't really call them friends anymore, but every moment I spent with them was something I'll always treasure.
What about your favorite mission?
Favorite mission? I don't know that I would really say it was my favorite, but certainly the most memorable mission I went on? Probably the time we were sent to retrieve a magical artifact out of a temple, and were faced with a man who had been forcibly turned into a lich by way of a magic item. We were able to save him from that fate and bring him back to life by the grace of Lady Murray. We didn't have to kill him, and I will be forever grateful for that gift from her.
It was good when you can spare a life that you didn't want to take. Before we send you off, I would like to ask, if you had some final words for your party, what would you say to them?
Final words. I don't really know. I already said to them most of what I wanted to say in my goodbye letters I wrote in the event that, well, you know. I guess I wish I had added in my letter that I should have made sure Valeria knew that I was proud of her for everything she's accomplished. I want to tell Puck and Alora how much I love them, and that I hope that they won't forget me, but that they will be able to move on. I hope all of my friends know how much I care for them, and that they never stop being true to themselves. They all do very good work, and I can't wait to see what else they have in store for this world. Well, for my world, not this one. You know what I mean.
I believe we owe it to you to send you back to your child. We'll be sure to send your kind words to your party.
Thank you.
I'm sure, from how you spoke about them, you won't be ending up here anytime soon. They'll remember you for ages to come.
I can only hope that you're correct about that. This was surprisingly therapeutic. I suppose I should thank you for bringing me here.
It was our pleasure.
And I do apologize again for my rudeness when I first arrived.
Well, it was quite rude of us to pull you away from your child. In all fairness.
That is very fair.
And we have pulled much ruder people.
It's true. But until we speak with your party, have a good awakening.
This is true. That has not been brought up yet.
Sorry, it was just the way you phrased the question, though.
Then I will rephrase the question.
Go ahead.
Okay, give me a second.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Completely
It's not
fine. Your diaphragm's fault.